is, our author of the moment. Thank you, everybody, for joining Real Words today. I'm very excited about the guest that I have today, Eric Wade. Let me make sure I
Thank
say
you.
your name correctly. I'm sorry, Eric. Eric Wade, who's the author of America versus Americans. This sounds very political, and this conversation isn't going to be political because we're going to talk about being creative and being somebody who uses original thought to produce or write or create. So thanks for joining me today, Eric.
I'm very glad to be here. And let's start right off by saying America versus Americans, not political. Economic,
Awesome.
yeah, economic, but the whole point of it was um, we have too much political out there, right? Political, you shake a stick and political will fall on you. And we didn't want to go there with it. So
I
economic.
just breathed a huge sigh of relief. Thank you. Thank you for that. What I would love for you now is to give us an introduction of yourself and what you're up to these days.
Okay, so writer of this book at least, and my day job is I'm a cryptocurrency analyst and write about and research and recommend cryptocurrencies. So I try to stay in front of where technology is going, try to find what technologies that are helpful, have a good solid use for human beings, try to make sure that not only are we heading in the right direction, but that it serves us well. So that's one of the reasons I was actually kind of excited about this opportunity to talk to you because um, it, it is easy to maybe look at the gray cloud scenario sometimes
Yes,
with
it
technology
is.
because it moves so fast.
Well, I know so many friends that work in marketing or are writers themselves and are overwhelmed by the speed at which change is happening when you consider technology or, in particular, AI and crypto as well. I mean, to watch what's happened in the last 7, 8, 9 years with crypto. So I appreciate you indulging me in talking about creativity and setting somewhat technology, but this is a very technologically advanced platform that we're using right now, and it's easy for the user like myself. And so I am definitely a user and appreciator of technology. My concern is not that it's taking jobs. My concern is that the future is going to look very different for individuals like me, somebody who sits down and likes to write every day or create art in some way or another, or my friends who are musicians who write lyrics or who write plays or are screenwriters and so forth. And in particular, for this series, the Beachtown series, sponsored by Beachtown Books, is authors. So I would like to now celebrate you as an author and your new book. If you could tell us the inspiration behind America versus Americans and tell us why write it?
Uh, Generally speaking, this came to me in college when I was studying
Wow.
economics and preparing for the real world. And it has a bit of that, hey, I'm in college and I know everything type of feel, as well as, but it took me 30 years to actually finish writing it. And I've learned a lot along the way.
I
So the
bet.
inspiration really is that and again, I said it's economics, not politics, but the idea is capitalism is great and has served a lot of people really well, but it's not perfect. And I began to see capitalism as almost like a B plus student among the economic choices we might have. And B plus students, they do a great job and they almost get no attention and everybody thinks they're doing great, but you could do better. And the only way to really prove that out is it's we're a wealthy country full of phenomenal accomplishments, and we have 30 to 40 million people living in poverty. And I just thought there's got to be a better way, right? That we can't just throw capitalism out and start from scratch. And none of the other systems that are out there would work for Americans. So that leaves us with one opportunity, and that is come up with something better. So that's what America versus Americans is hey, not everything that happens here is for the best for us. Let's improve it rather than just complain about it. Let's improve our economic standpoint in America. And like I said, took me a while to actually get all the ideas down and onto paper and into something that I thought people would want to read. It's gotten pretty good, pretty good reception.
Good.
Great Kirkus review, great Midwest Book Reviews review. Yeah, so, but
I
for an economics book,
I can't wait to read it now. I am not officially a reader of economics books, but I do love what you've just shared. And there's so much pushback right now in America, and I love that you've titled it in a way that shows two, because that's how it feels so often in
yeah,
everything that we talk about. There are two choices, right?
yeah,
Whether it is politics, or whether it is a society, or it is ideology, or you're either conservative or liberal. You're either for capitalism or against it, or you're for socialism or you're against it. And so it always feels like there's only these two choices. And so I'm really appreciative of your efforts to showcase that, hey, there are more than two choices, and we can do something new and something different, which is really the heart of America. And in the
yeah,
hearts of Americans is that
yeah.
entrepreneurial spirit, or that adventurism, or that I need to go on a journey. I'm a seeker of knowledge and a seeker of information, or I want to conquer landscapes and so forth. So I
Great point.
really, I love that how you have set this up, and I look forward to reading it. You and I will get to officially meet on the 20th or 21st.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on the
At where
20th.
On the 20th, when
Yeah,
you will get to meet other authors, as well as readers and folks that are going to come by Beachtown Books to learn more about you and purchase your book. So thank you
I'm looking
again.
forward to it. Yeah,
So with all of this technology behind you and crypto, I mean, talk about the future, right?
yeah.
There, why why choose something as old and as archaic as being a writer?
Isn't that like the just the standard for the progression of thought in our
It's
society is
it is. It really
the,
is.
the writers put it out there, and sometimes they're responding to what needs to be said, and sometimes they're coming up with something that I didn't know this needed to be said, but
Yeah.
but thank you for going out there. And there's so many writers throughout our the history of humanity that we live by what they came up with, and just it's pretty. I, I don't even know if there's a right word for this. It's just gratifying to even be part of that.
I know that you said you started this process, this book in particular, 30 plus years ago. And has that process changed as a result of technology? When I first started writing, it was all longhand, right? I remember my first poem, the first song I wrote, everything was just sketched out in pencil. And as I aged and progressed and gained more knowledge and more experience and use of technology, I went from handwriting to pen, being solid in my opinions and using a pen, and then typewriter. And then I became I might as well have bought stock in whiteout. I don't know if you remember the days of whiteout. And then to have an ongoing editable document on a computer, and then to, move to a laptop, and now to, I mean, I sometimes write from my smartphone. So how was that progression for you to go from a college student that was probably scratching in the margins of a textbook to so much opportunity to research now too, without having to go to a library or check out books or, have invest in the encyclopedia. My husband always jokes about having been an encyclopedia salesman, going door to door, and he was, and he actually made sales. So how has that progression been for you?
Well, I'm an all of the above guy, and did have that same journey that start with paper or something. I got onto computers pretty quickly, but then you quickly learn not only your shortcomings but the computer's shortcomings the minute you lose a file or
Oh, it's
you
the
you break a
worst.
hard
It's
drive.
the
Yes,
worst.
it's the worst. And then you get back to printing and scratching things out on even on index cards. I actually really like index cards
Yeah.
for thought progression, but there's also something kind of permanent about when you write it down. You mentioned ink or
Yes.
typewriter or something,
Yes.
and sometimes that can be it can be a blessing and it can be handcuffs that you write something that you really want to keep that you really should cut, and digital is so good at that, at
Yes.
moving things around, or you know what, I'm just going to blue it out and italicize it and then color it red, and then if I still don't need it, I'm just gonna it's gone, and when it's gone, it's gone. um, but many things I write, I'll save different versions of
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
and it
I
almost becomes a rabbit hole of well, which one are you working on? But I've even used starting to do the talk to the computer and let it write
Oh,
for
wow.
you, or just take a little recording device and have it transcribed, and
Yes.
you quickly find out how much of a better writer you are when you're reading a transcript of your talking, because transcripted talking is nothing like what someone would want to actually consume. And we have in the book, we have some of that actual journey that my co-writer and myself transcribed some conversations, and it took longer to clean that up than it did to actually just write something
Oh,
cold. So
I
technology
love
has
that
its
idea.
benefits and
Yes, yes. And so often because I'm a firm believer in the use of the comma, you know, because I want people when they're reading what I share to feel the emotion in what I'm sharing, to feel the person that's actually writing this. And
yeah.
you mentioned um, losing a file. I had to come up with some kind of mantra for myself because invariably, as a writer, if you hit the wrong button, if you if you don't save it in the right way, or if you just turn and your computer dies or an update happens while you're in the middle of a file, you lose that work. And it is work. For me,
Yeah.
writing is
Yeah.
like, you know, delivering a baby. It is a lot of work. All the emotion and work that I've put into it. And I had to come up with this thing that I would say to myself because it happened so often. It was heartbreaking, and I would go through a grieving process also, that it must not have been good enough. I can write it better.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it just happened to me the other day. I was writing a poem for a friend of mine who had passed away in February, and I got it done, and I turned my head and it disappeared. And
Oh no.
I just said to myself, it's in my heart. It's in my heart.
It's with them now,
It's with that. I
right?
love
It's
that.
with
Oh,
them,
thank
between you
you.
and
I
them.
love that.
It's
I love
personal.
that. I
They
love
they
that
they
so
they
much.
loved it so much they took it and said, "It's all for me."
Thank you. I can stop grieving the loss of the poem and go back to just remembering the love that I felt for my friend.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So as a writer and as somebody that is invested in technology in that world, right? This is almost like crossing streams. I love to use that phrase when we think about how Ghostbusters, it only worked
Yeah.
really well when you cross the streams. It only worked
Right.
truly when the streams were crossed. So I love the idea of thinking about technology and the the old school ways, and as I'm talking, I can see the writing on the cave walls, right? When we think about the history that we can see in something as simple as scratches on a rock, and crossing these streams of truth and opinion, which are not always the same thing. but they are internally for the purveyor of that. And then also technology. Do you have any advice for writers today, or somebody that thinks they want to adventure in that entrepreneurial spirit into someplace new because they have an idea or a thought that needs to be shared?
Yeah, I would say maybe the right word is spice. Maybe the right word is creative. Spice it up. I don't mean that in a um, um, adult material type of way. I just
Right.
tell yourself, I've got something that a computer or a technology or a copycat can't do. Maybe even think about the NBA, National Basketball. They have a All Star game. They have slam dunk contests, right?
Yes.
And the the purpose is to get the ball in the hoop, right? The very minimum of getting your job done is get the ball in the hoop. And you could say you're a success if you get the ball in the hoop. But if you ever watch a slam dunk contest, nobody's going to go out there and just put the ball in the hoop. They're going to jump from as far away as they can. They're going to put a car on the court. They're going to put
Yes.
9 people on a picnic table and see if they can jump over them. They're going to do it blindfolded, right? So if you're not sitting down at the computer or the paper or the notepad or anything, the cave wall, and thinking to yourself, what can I put? What picnic table can I put here that I have to jump over? Why am I here? What is my specialness? Because, yeah, an AI can put the ball in the hoop, but I have to have a vision of something that no one would ever think of. And everybody watching it is going to say, "Oh, I want to try that," or "I can't believe he." And maybe you even fail at it. Maybe you blow the layup or blow the dunk or something, because some of those guys do. Professional athletes that put themselves at phenomenal amount of risk, right? I'm going to, put a trampoline out there and do it backwards with a twist, and if you miss, the point of that is nobody is thinking less of you,
Right.
right? They're thinking, wow, he tried something, or she tried something ridiculous, and missing is, hey, that's just part of it. Because if you try something ridiculous and you miss, it's not a failure.
I love
But
that you said that because that's where I was going with this. When we fail, and I'm using air quotes as I say that, that's not the end. It is a lesson. So it's taking the lesson from that failure and let's shake it up. Let's shake it up a little
yeah,
bit. Let's figure out what we can do differently, or what did I learn from this, right? What did I learn from this so that the next lesson I get
yeah,
an A on,
yeah,
right? Instead of the F or the B minus when you were expecting an A, and things don't always go our way. And your comment about being spicy or creative leads me right, and you also mentioned AI, leads me right into my next comment and question for you, which is the basis for Real Words. It's the reason that I launched Real Words. I mean, I didn't have to do this. It's just something that it was actually something that I dreamed about and really wanted to create this space to celebrate original thought, original content by creators. So when we look at the future, as somebody who is consistently looking in the future, you are, that is part of your work, and you consider what I'm going to call it an obstacle, because to me, AI is an obstacle. Even if it's sitting there, it is something that I think as a creator, I wonder if this will be better if I run it through ChatGPT, or if I ask ChatGPT, or if I so am I stopping the opportunity for failure? Am I stopping the opportunity to dig deep inside of me to find that thing that will make whatever I'm doing, whether it's a mosaic, which is my favorite way to create art, or a poem, am I stopping the opportunity for me to grow and learn by depending on a piece of technology. And if that happens, if more people depend upon it, are we risking the loss of creativity in the future? Are we going to lose creative writers? What do you think?
Yes, temporarily we'll lose creative writers. Temporarily. I think there's a lot to think about in there in that question, and I think we will see um, an adoption curve of AI that will probably I've likened it to fire. That fire can be both good and bad. Fire is unquestionably powerful, but when you want to make soup, you need fire, and when you want to heat your house, you need fire, etc. Right? But you can also burn your house down, or burn a forest down, or something, or kill Bambi's mom.
Wow.
So it's both. And I also see maybe an analogy to when digital cameras, digital photography, the first digital movie cameras came out,
Yes.
and or digital music. And there's so many creators who said it's lifeless, it's not the same, you can feel that it's digital, etc. I like the 35 millimeter, or I like the wax or vinyl, or etc. Right? And we went through those, but it's at a certain point, creators started figuring out, well, what if I start doing something different that's impossible with the old technology? So I think that's our curve, and we actually address AI in America versus Americans, because
Okay.
we feel we agree with the MIT study that there's going to be about 47% of white collar people that their jobs could be disrupted by AI, and we specifically call out creators, music producers, movie studios, people who photographers that are used to having a whole crew to make a still shot for a magazine or something. Well, you can create all that with AI for now. But at some point, I believe the consumer is going to say, okay, I've seen that. It's all starting to look like AI to me, or feel like, or taste like AI to me. Let's get back to human creativity. Let's get back to ridiculous, funny, sublime,
Yes.
nuanced, um,
Emotional,
emotional.
imperfect,
Em- yeah, and
right?
funny thing is, a lot of the early AI knowledge, the if you were to ask an early AI where its shortcomings were, it believed it couldn't compete with humans for creative. That the AIs would actually answer back, how do you survive AI disrupting your job? The AIs would answer back, do something creative, because we can't. Do something emotional,
Mm,
because we can't. And so the creative and the emotional people, of course, you're going to worry, but kick it into high gear.
right. Right.
Prove
But
AI right,
not hide.
and
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Prove AI right. And to your point, maybe 6 months ago, a year ago, when you first started hearing on social little social snippets of video, you could or pictures, images, you could hear an AI voice and think, "Oh, that's novel."
yeah,
Now I hear it and I'm like,
yeah.
swipe, swipe, swipe. I don't want to hear that anymore. If I hear it in the other room, I scream, turn that off, mute that. I don't want to hear that AI voice.
The same
And
5 voices on our social media that are
right,
yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
They're
And
gonna
one thing that I've mentioned recently is the production of video or trailers or intros to shows that has all been AI created. I still love hearing real music by real composers. I'm the first one to look up on my phone who composed the music for this series, right? To make sure that it is still being created by a real person out there. That might be next. That might come next. Who knows? But I really appreciate your energy and thought behind this question, and I look forward to reading that in about that more in your book. America versus Americans. My guest today is Eric Wade, author of America versus Americans, and also a cryptocurrency specialist. I don't know how that That's interesting. So you're right and left brained. I love that. So what's next
I
for you,
like to
Eric?
think that. Yeah. Uh, well, I've got 19 ideas for a next book, and luckily for me, I my day job is reading and writing, so I have this constant pipeline of creative outlet. So I'm always looking for where is technology going next, and try to decide of the 19 ideas floating around of what's the next book. Try to pin one down. So this one just came out 2 months ago, so I'm not ready to move on from it yet.
No,
But
don't move on from it yet. I think more people need to hear about it, need to buy it, read it, and consume the thoughts and ideas buried within it, available within it. I'm sure there are some things that you got to read it once, more than once, or reread a
possibly,
chapter to really soak it in and learn from it.
yeah.
And as an author, and you mentioned this just now in the previous answer, as you enjoy reading, is it necessary for authors, creators to also consume creativity?
I'd like to say yes, because that sounds like the right answer, but I'm going to say no. If you can do this in a cave on your own, right? If you're the Neanderthal who's drawing something you've never seen drawn before, or if you're the Anasazi chipping petroglyphs into a rock that you've never seen, you know, pictures before, go for it. Do it. If you've invented something new, then don't think that you're beholden to the art and the craft that came before you. Now, on the other hand, there's just so much wonderful creative
Yes.
content out there for us. How could you not? But I think the right answer on that is you got to do you. And if you got something new, don't look to us to guide or shape your message. You may have to be the lone genius in a lighthouse out at the end of the promontory,
Right.
right? That you
Right.
come back to society with something that we've never thought of before.
So much to talk about and absorb. What uh, if folks want to reach out to you, or if they want to buy your book, where can they purchase your book?
It's in Barnes and Noble and Amazon as both a hard copy and as an ebook.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter at Eric R. Wade on Twitter. I probably have other social medias that I ignore. I'm the worst at that, but Twitter is the one that I open and look at, or X, I guess.
Yeah.
There's another technology upgrade for us, right?
There you go.
So on X, just look for Eric R. Wade,
Okay.
and that's the best way to probably reach me. And like I say, I write all the time, all day, every day for Stansberry Research. If you want to go look up stansberryresearch.com, that's more where we're talking about technologies, cryptocurrencies,
Okay.
and American innovation.
I'll definitely do that. Before we get away, do you have a favorite author or favorite book?
Favorite book is The 36 Stratagems by Haro von Sanger. And it is effectively, it's like Art of War, but from a linguist's point of view. So it's the funny thing is only 18 of the 36 stratagems have been translated into English. So the book is called 36 Stratagems, but it's only 18. And it's just phenomenal. It's 5,000 years worth of Chinese
Oh,
wisdom
wow.
and strategy and accomplishments and something
Definitely
like
adding
that.
this to my list. I think I have three different books that are The Art of War for Women in Business, The Art of War for the Business Executive. I love that whole idea behind
You'll read
using
this one, and
ancient.
it's yeah, it's similar to Art of War, but it's not. But that's a good off ramp to tell you what it's the category of. But like I said, if a linguist got his hands on 5,000 years of Chinese history, what would you learn? It's mind blowing.
Well,
Haro von Sanger.
this is the selfish part of my work is to learn how other people grow and change and shift and develop or enjoy writing. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Eric
Thank
Wade, for
you.
being
Thank
my
you.
guest today on Real Words. Sponsored, this series is the Beachtown series, sponsored by Beachtown Books. And we will see you at Beachtown Books in San Clemente on April 20th.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
That'd be great. Thanks all for tuning in today.